Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. After much speculation over the last several months and with the VCT Kickoffs just about to begin, Sentinels have practically confirmed that pANcada is nowhere near returning to the starting lineup. In an interesting video they did yesterday, pANcada not even spotted with the team. Does this mean he's still in Brazil? What does this mean for pANcada's opinion on the Sentinels roster right now? What are his next steps going to be? Very much interested your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Some very interesting roster news to discuss yesterday as well from DFM. Detonation, Focus Me Gaming. We know that they've recently partnered with Crazy Raccoon. That was an interesting partnership, really. I thought the intention of that was the Crazy Raccoon would kind of do their content. They do the marketing side, and DFM would pretty much take care of the actual franchise spots, because at the end of the day, Riot is agreed with DFM that they are going to be the franchise team or the partner team, and they haven't necessarily agreed with the Crazy Raccoon. So as a result, the relationship there between the two parties has to be like, well, you know, DFM are still, we're the ones still controlling the show on the Valorant partnership side, and Crazy Raccoon are just kind of here along for the ride type thing. So don't worry about it, right? You don't have to come up with a new agreement, that type of stuff. But yesterday, they've made team changes which kind of imply the Crazy Raccoon are as good as running the show. And I also think that surprising moves. I don't think the DFM roster was good anyway, but, you know, Jox Joe, there was talk that he probably had more to give. Suggest as well seemed like a solid enough player, but they were gone yesterday by what they describe as mutual agreement, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if these guys would have necessarily mutually agreed to be dropped from a franchise team, but they instead sign a couple of other players, including Medusa, of course, very much formerly known as Big on Crazy Raccoons. So this is kind of wild, to be honest. I don't know if I have like any faith in this team. I would like to see them work, but it's tough to imagine it's going to happen. This is, for example, I mean, their results aren't pretty, are they? This is when they played against Bleed at that best of one. Ye wasn't even here, so the Gear stepped in, dropped 3 frags, and they still got slabbed 13-5. That wasn't pretty, and their results over the last few months aren't pretty either. We could just scroll down a little bit, just have a little bit of a gander here on Detonation's results over the last couple of months, taking it back to last year specific. They occasionally won a series, but as you guys can see here, they're kind of combining Crazy Raccoon and Detonation on this list because they're now kind of part of the same thing. So yeah, Medusa stepping into this team. This is now what's going on. I don't really know what's happening over there. I'd like to see these guys succeed, but it's tough to imagine. And their first game of the season is against DRX in just over, you know, a week and a few days. So it's kind of a bit of a trial by fire, isn't it, to put this roster in, especially because DRX, especially Flashback, is talking big about his potential in the league going forwards. So I don't know what's cooking over there, but it's probably not anything especially spectacular. There's also this to mention for you guys, though. Around the world, the VCT season is about to start finally, right? Oh my god, it's been a while since we've had any proper competitive Valorant action. This, though, is the schedule for all the different teams when they play their first game. So Huntis actually puts together here, I thought this is actually really rather cool, on not every single game, but when each team plays their first matchup. So it does begin with the Americas on the 16th. I actually thought there were some games on the 15th in another region, but that's not true. So the first game of the entire season will be NRG Furia. Then Cloud9 play MIBR. So that's that. Then we get the games in the Pacific side. So there are more games in this. Like on the 19th, there are more games, but there are games of teams that have already played. So that's why they're not being mentioned here, just to make that clear for you guys. But yeah, so these are the first matches of every team. So if you guys are fans of specific teams, have a look on this to find when your team plays first. T1 Bleed, play right about here. Gen.G RRQ, Zeta GE, and that's kind of how it's going to go. Now, EG will also play at some point as well, and the number 1 seeds in the various regions haven't necessarily been included here just because, well, they don't play a guaranteed matchup. They play, for example, EG will play the winner of Crew and G2. So that's kind of how that goes, and it's a similar story in the other regions as well with their respective number 1 teams. Like Fnatic will play the victor of Vitality M8 and or Gentle Mates, right? And then BLG Wolves, the winner of that, will play Paper Rex, if I remember correctly. So those are the teams that aren't existing here, but for the rest of it, it kind of makes sense. So yeah, the first games covered in the Americas, covered in the Pacific, few in the Pacific, then Loud Sentinels, we'll discuss Sentinels in a second, Live 100T, then back to the Pacific for some of the first games, then Crew G2, and then it moves on from there in the respective other regions. But of course, there are far more games than just this in these respective kickoff tournaments, and there's going to be a lot going on simultaneously with all these kickoff tournaments going around the world, at exactly the same time. Now, yesterday we talked about NRG and potential changes to their meta going forward, and whether they're trying to cook up something special for the new season, whether Chet's got any kind of tricks up his sleeve. And there has been a general feeling that a move towards Gecko in the meta is quite possibly coming in the relatively near future. But of course, there's also been talk, is that going to happen elsewhere? So Durka was spotted here on his tracker.gg page using Yoru in like every game that he played. So if you guys look at his most recent matches here, he's played loads of games with Yoru, and of course you can look at the results and everything. But yeah, his last like 30 odd games or whatever it is, all the way back to 2 weeks ago at Breeze, every game he's played in then, or since then, he has insta-locked or whatever Yoru into the play. So why? Is he just having fun? Is he just messing around? Probably, that's part of it, but is there something to this as well? So this, of course, was first pointed out over at the Reddit, right? And Durka's played 32 ranked games on Yoru in a row, Yoru meta plus Gecko incoming. Durka's like, look, I got caught by the tracker police, and Durka doesn't seem to believe that this is saying anything. But, you know, it's easy to say that, isn't it, publicly? Unless Fnatic actually do have some ideas behind the scenes. I don't know, because as he says, Boaster has played 10 matches on Reign, 12 on Deadlock this act, Deadlock meta incoming type thing, because, you know, this seems unlikely, let's be honest. But still, is there more to this than initially meets the eye? It wouldn't be a massive surprise if with the major recent changes, with the Sky nerfs and Gecko seeming to be a very viable initiator, that maybe Yoru has some sort of place in the meta as well. We shall see. But also the players do kind of just like to try and have fun, or at least maintain their sanity in ranked, I think is the #1 intention for when pros go into the ranked mode. So Boaster says, I guess I'm playing Harbour Deadlock Raider then, which is unlikely to be the case either. But, you know, who knows? Whether Fnatic are leaving a little bit more left unsaid, so when the season starts they get something of an edge, or whether this is just purely a paper X strategy that we might see pulled out at some point this season, given how that is potentially going to go. Quickly on Sentinels though, well actually, let's talk about Sentinels a fair bit, because there's quite a lot to say here. There is this from Wyatt as well, with a new episode of his podcast coming through with Rob Moore, of course, from Sentinels, so that'll be exciting to see. But this was a video that Sentinels put out last night. I think they were looking at their new jersey, right? So we cannot legally tell you what they just saw, and this is the team of 5. Notably enough, of course, the team of 5 and not the team of 6. I think they're actually looking at the skin, aren't they? So they're looking at like the new weapon skin or whatever that's coming into the game. I think there was one leaked actually for another team a couple of weeks ago now, maybe a week or so ago. So we'll see this in due course, and I'm sure that it's gonna, you know, sell well because it's Sentinels, it is what it is. So they're looking at the skin. They can't kind of reveal it publicly or whatever as it stands, but it's coming soon, coinciding with the start of the season. Good stuff from Riot, as is usually the case. But as we can see here, this is the team of 5, and there is nobody else involved. There's no Drew Spark, analyst over there. There's no, of course, Kaplan, coach of the team over there in the background. But there's also no substitute player, right? And we might imagine that that could have been Mr. pANcada. Even Sentinels reply and say, you know, where the hell is pANcada? Now, Sentinels have never confirmed officially, I don't believe they've ever done a tweet to say that pANcada's out, Xelsis is in. They've implied it on a couple of occasions, such as when Sentinels versus Taric was happening a while ago, and they had the Sentinels team with Xelsis, and then pANcada was on Taric's team when they played against them. So, you know, that was as good as an admission, I would say. But even then, it was, you know, it's just a show match. And then they played the Africa TV tournament, and sure, they won it. And as far as I was concerned, and as far as many others were concerned, there was approximately a 0% chance that pANcada was back into the team after this result. But you never know 100%, maybe I'll give it a 1% chance that pANcada was back in the team after this result. Xelsis did a great job. Is pANcada more mechanically skilled than Xelsis? Probably yes. Is he a better fit for the team? Probably no, and that's clearly what Sentinels seem to believe as it presently stands. But it was always a chance, right? Given how good pANcada has been, the relationship with Sassy, that, you know, they might decide to make a move back, especially if their practice, they maybe got back in the Africa TV tournament, didn't do as well in practice. Maybe they could have considered some sort of alternative. But that does not seem to be the case at all, right? So Xelsis is still there, pANcada is gone, and what was interesting about this video was that, you know, just the fact that pANcada wasn't there, people were wondering, is he even in the States? Is he even with the team? Because if he was with the team, you'd have thought they might have put him in the video. Clearly these guys are vibing and getting along well, which is a priority, I think, for any good team. And if it was working better with Xelsis in that respect than working with pANcada, then I totally get it. And I do think their team will be better for this. It's just tough for pANcada. 2022 world champion, of course, on that Loud team. good friends with Sassy and also good friends with Aspas. I know there was talk about links to Leviathan potentially when they were making a change. That's never happened. So, it does seem like pANcada's still on the bench. He might not even be with the team in LA. He might be, back in Brazil. We just don't really know as it presently stands. But I think regardless of what you think, he can't be particularly happy with this. I know that he tweeted about it a while ago and says that, I'm going to return to the top once again, stay ready type thing. And of course, he was bantering a little bit here. And I don't think that there's anything between Zellsis and pANcada in terms of, pANcada hates Zellsis or the other way around or whatever the case is. But pANcada can't be happy with how things have gone down there. He's still on the team, though. He's still getting paid to sit on the bench, but I don't think that's his primary goal, right? His goal obviously will be to win again somewhere, and it certainly doesn't look as it sounds like that's going to be Sentinels anytime soon. So, yeah, pANcada, who knows what the future is for this guy, but maybe he's in a similar boat in some respects to what's happening right now with FNS and with SOM. Those guys were on NRG, now out of NRG. They're biding their time. The benefit that pANcada has is that he's still technically the substitute, at least we believe, so he's still getting paid, and he probably will have to be there in LA, really, at least when the game starts, so just in case there were some issues, as was happening the first time, right, when pANcada was subbed out for Zellsis, there were various illnesses, pANcada wasn't feeling so good, so Zellsis came in, and all of a sudden, they were doing really well with Zellsis, so, maybe if that circumstance was to happen the other way around, pANcada could come back in the team the other way, but, FNS and SOM, they've got a stream, they're doing this stuff to maintain their income while they, at least in FNS's case, I don't know about SOM, but definitely FNS seems to think, well, bide my time a little bit, wait it out a few months, see what happens when bad teams need to make changes mid-season, and then maybe an opportunity arises for those guys. Same story could be here for pANcada, that if he wants to leave, if he has a good opportunity, if Sentinels, would probably want to facilitate that, then a move to Loud if they struggle, or a move to Lev potentially. Those would be the only two teams that I can really see pANcada wanting to join. He could go to Fury or some other team, but, I think that pANcada, if he does leave Sentinels, wants to get onto one of the theoretically very strong teams in the Brazilian region, or just in the South American region, generally speaking, and then he can fight his way back to the top and maybe beat Sentinels or something along the way. So if you're much interested in your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below, hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.